Where are you on marshmallows? You like marshmallows?
I like them when they are melted and or in a s'more product.
S'mores is it for me. That's the only time I like them.
Not terrible in Lucky Charms. I'm not. I don't hate that cereal.
But those aren't like real marshmallows. They aren't like the squishy white. They're like hard and colorful.
A real marshmallow too, one that has been like made by adding the ingredients together and cooking, is a different texture and flavor to the very, very sweet like ones we get from the supermarket. They are quite tasty.
Oh, like a homemade marshmallow?
Yeah, homemade marshmallows are actually quite delicious.
I have never had a homemade marshmallow because I don't really like marshmallows, so making them homemade would seem to be a colossal waste of ingredients and time.
It actually is not.
I was going to say, what if that marshmallow was actually a sentient alien being that was going to slowly destroy you from the inside?
I think that they already are.
Oh, God. All right.
Watching this movie has just reinforced my understanding that the marshmallows we buy at the store are actually sentient beings that are slowly taking control of us.
The whole thing's an anti-marshmallow campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, fair enough. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And today we are discussing The Stuff, which is like a mid-'80s horror comedy, kind of.
Is it a comedy?
I feel like there's some comedic element. It's like satire in a way. There's parody. There's like fake commercials. There's I don't know. To me, I got some kind of comedic vibes to this.
Yeah, definitely some parody involved for sure. It seems like it is almost like a horror drama where they're trying to like make you aware of the dangers of things taking over and mind control. It seems super 80s, right? This fits,
Cold War. There's some kind of Cold War elements.
This fits right in with Cold War. It makes me think of all those kind of 80s, like we're gonna get taken over by a alien and or foreign
Russian. Yeah. Now we should clarify. The stuff in this movie is not actually marshmallows. We're not trying to imply we don't want big marshmallow coming after us for fucking disparaging them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we are worried about the candy corporations and their extensive reach.
Are the marshmallows candy? I don't consider marshmallows candy.
What? Really? I would 100%.
They're not sold in the candy aisle.
I would 100% consider a marshmallow a form of candy.
Disagree.
So you think they're a baking product?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I see where that makes sense, and I'm not gonna sort of throw myself out there to fight against it being a baking ingredient because it definitely seems like it. I think there's a lot of innuendo in this for anti-consuming semen too.
I mean, this is, we're going to be probably going back to that well a few times. Because
this is going to be a difficult thing to talk about because
the titular stuff in the movie is, in fact, a gooey, viscous,
white creamy liquid that women are afraid of getting into their mouth. Yeah.
Well, it's not just women. Yeah. Many people are afraid. And we're going to cover all of the gooey details as we go through this. But before we do, as always, we have paired the movie with a beer that we're going to try. And this one is pretty exciting, I feel. Tell us about this beer, Noel.
Yeah, this one's cool. It is called the Hydra Slushmallow. So Hydra being that like 3-headed dragon beast kind of creature.
It's a fucking monster.
Yeah.
And it's got marshmallows. To me, I feel like this is a decent connection.
It's perfect. This is a sour, slushy beer that is brewed with raspberry, strawberry, banana, and marshmallow.
I don't love the strawberry component, but I'm excited for everything else.
I've had one of these. I will tell you that strawberry is not a prominent flavor.
Great.
Marshmallow definitely is.
Okay.
I stopped in Rochester at a really cool beer store called the One Stop Brew Shop. And I met with their employee there, a guy. I think he's also part owner. His name is Steve. And I told him what I was doing. I told him about the podcast, and he was super, super enthused. So we went through and I pulled out 10 different beers that were in consideration for movies for us. So
we're going to
really
use a few of them for sure, I think. This is the first, but we'll have a couple more coming up. And, God bless him for doing that. Thanks a lot there, Steve.
Yeah, he was awesome. One Stop Brew Shops. If you are in the Rochester, New York area, Greece, I think is the kind of suburb of Rochester, New York, where it's located. That place is awesome. They have stuff both on tap and they have it in cans that you can get and enjoy, and they have a really cool assortment of craft beer. I brought back all kinds of awesome stouts and IPAs. The stouts I think you're excited for. Some of the IPAs maybe not as much. I also brought you some sours
maybe not
too.
As much. Yeah.
This one I think you're going to be excited for though, being a slushy sour. So I think that's really, really cool. So thank you to the guys there because that was really, really fun to visit.
So this beer, it's a collaboration between two breweries, Mortalis Brewing Company and 450 North Brewing. Mortalis Brewing was founded in 2017, but the website tells me its origins date back to further than that. They're sort of all over Western New York, and they've won a bunch of awards recently for some of their amazing beers they make. They made the first Everything Bagel Double IPA beer. And they have been brewing a whole bunch of different kinds of beer. They have tons of sours, IPAs, pale ales. They have a huge selection of stouts and barrel-aged stouts. I think we're going to be impressed with some of the flavors here. 450 North also has a
ton of different beers. They have so many slushy beers, though. I don't think I've ever seen a brewery that had more slushy style beers listed ever. So they have a huge range of them. They even have some that seem to be like a THC infused line, which I thought was kind of interesting. I know New York State or some of the other states are starting to include that as part of their brewing culture.
Well, Indiana, though. Maybe it's
maybe it's a part in Indiana. I know New York does the same. They can do it through beverages now, too. So I thought that was interesting. But this one is a non-THC beverage, but one that is very marshmallow forward, which fits well with, that gooey, viscous white stuff that we see in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know how to feel about the strawberry. You told me it's not much of a factor. That's good. I like the other ingredients, and I love slushy beers. We've had a few of those in the course of the podcast. Never heard of either of these breweries, so excited to give it a shot. What do you say we do right now? Let's try it.
Yeah, let's get it. Oh, shit. It's all over my face, just like the stuff.
So we begin here with a lone security guard wandering through a mine or some kind of industrial plant. He discovers some gooey white stuff oozing up out of the ground and decides to scoop it up and put it in his mouth. Which, what human would react this way? We are less than 2 minutes into this thing, and it's already completely ridiculous.
So when you see a white viscous fluid bubbling out of the ground, you don't instantly shove it in your mouth.
He crams it in there right away, and it's delicious.
I have a bit of a problem with the way that people eat the stuff in this movie. It is always 2 fingers covered in white stuff and then licked clean in the most erotic way possible. Like, I can't imagine more of a scenario in almost any movie shot I have ever seen.
People are in their mouths with the stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just constantly. It is the lubricant for your mouth like all the time. And it starts hard with this weird old man who dips his tip of his fingers into the ground and just shoves them right into his mouth.
Yeah, he quickly attracts a crowd, man. Other guys come over. Hey, what is that? He's like, here, put it in your face. And they just start doing it.
Taste this. It's not snow.
Yeah, exactly.
We can sell this shit to people.
Oh, God. Well, from there, we cut to a young boy sleeping in his bedroom. That was kind of a jarring transition. Rather, he's trying to sleep, but the window is open and mosquitoes are eating him alive. He closes the window and heads downstairs, where he takes a drink from the tap and opens the fridge. And what does he find in the fridge? The stuff, which is what this white gooey sweetness is being marketed as. And it's spilled out of the container or burst out of the container, and it's moving. You know what else is moving? This kid's dad, who shrugs off his son's concerns that this dessert may be sentient and sends Jason, that's the boy's name, back up to his room. Now, the last thing we see in this scene is the dad opening the fridge, but what is he going to put in his mouth?
He's going to shove 2 fingers in his mouth after banging the
exactly
container
what we
of the
just
stuff.
Described.
Jesus Christ, this is getting really uncomfortably sexual with a strange marshmallow product.
Is it us? It could just be us. Are we just taking it in this direction?
There's no way that you make this movie without assuming that people are going to take this consumption of white gooey viscous liquid with your 2 fingers as a sexual context. I'm happy the kid, though, is not excited to pour all of this like substance down his throat. So it's for some reason he saw it move and most people are not, so he knows there's a problem here. They don't actually tell us at any point in this movie why he senses that, what's special about Jason. I kind of wish.
I think it was just right time, right place. He opens the door and it's moving because it's the middle of the fucking night and the stuff probably thought it was fine to move around freely.
I felt like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. I wish there was some people are not taken by this.
People have a power or something.
Yeah, I wanted them to have some kind of genetic situation where they weren't sort of fooled by the stuff, but that wasn't happening. But
that's a different movie.
You're
describing a different movie.
That's a different movie. But so his family is completely consumed by this stuff. And I'm wondering where we're going to head from here. We have him go back to bed and then we transition to the next morning?
No, not yet. We get a commercial where a very robotic woman talks all about her dessert preferences.
When I was a little girl, I didn't think there was anything that I liked better than ice cream. Now I'm a big girl, and I've decided there's something I like better. It's called the stuff.
What the fuck is this lady's deal? She's like Kate McKinnon's mom.
super fucking creepy.
It's very weird.
Yeah. So I actually am having trouble understanding the tone of the movie at this point. Because the tone is so strange. It seems like a funny, different, like, horror ad movie. And I know that clearly there's a problem with this stuff. I'm wondering what's going to happen moving forward. I'm getting some kind of vibes of our Halloween episode from a little while ago.
Oh, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yeah, it's kind of reminding me of that, of the masks and the TVs that are kind of like going to brainwash everybody. I'm getting a bit of that right now.
I get that for sure. I mentioned this old lady in the commercial a moment ago. Speaking of old people, we see some well-dressed business types on a yacht talking about the stuff's sudden dominance of the dessert industry, including buying out the chocolate chip Charlie Cookie brand. Now, these guys are from the ice cream industry, big ice cream, if you will, and they're looking for any information that will let them get back on top of the dessert game. Enter corporate espionage man Mo Rutherford.
Mo Rutherford. You know why they call me Mo?
No, why?
Because every time people give me money, I always want Mo.
I don't know about you, but I am loving this so far.
There's a lot of fucking stuff going on here. The overdub through this section is excessive.
Oh, their voices? Yeah, they're not synced up with the mouths.
So they're all on a yacht, and all I can assume is that the sound was shit because they were on the water. Yeah, and so they've overdubbed it, but they have not synced it up very well. So it's pretty funny. I do love this espionage character, though. David Mo, what's his last name?
Mo Rutherford. Is that
Rutherford.
David? Is it his
Yeah,
David?
his first name is David.
Oh, okay.
David, but they call him Mo because he always wants Mo money. Rutherford is pretty fucking hilarious.
He's good, man. Yeah. Now from there, we cut back to Jason's family. This is the scene you were talking about. They're enjoying a sensible breakfast. But when Jason's brother decides to have a big mouthful of the stuff, Jason tells him to stop. The family shoots him down. They love the stuff, see? And they don't believe for 1 second that it's in any way harmful or moving or trying to tear their family apart. In fact, not only is it healthier than ice cream, it doesn't even leave spots when spilled on the floor or thrown on the floor in this case. Is there anything this dessert can't do?
I'm not sure because the way the mom is describing this, I'm pretty sure it also aids in her sexual adventures because
Come on, man.
She is so excited about this. I have never seen a woman so excited about the stuff ever.
I think this is more about you than it does about this lady.
There's something peculiar about this mom that
Never seen a woman this satisfied.
Yeah. She's pretty intriguing.
What can we say? Everyone loves the stuff, and that includes sexy ladies. As we cut to an ad campaign where a couple of hot models walk a catwalk with tubs of this goo in their hands. Mo Rutherford is there too, and he immediately charms the director of the ad campaign with some flattery and an offer she can't refuse, to buy the agency she works for and put her in charge. That gets her attention, and after he asks her to dinner, it sure seems like the stuff won't be the only white goo moving around, am I right?
The references continue. This is weird because he offers to buy her ad agency, and immediately she tells her, like, second in command to arrange a fucking hotel so she can bang down and ensure this happens.
Yeah, she's like, he asked where she wants to have dinner, and she's like, do they have room service at your hotel? I'm like, fuck, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, this went from like a casual business deal to like, I'm gonna fucking the shit out of this guy so we get lots of money.
Yeah, she's gonna be put in charge of her own ad agency after she's put in charge of his dong. We cut from
after
this.
She all the stuff out of him is what you're suggesting.
Yeah. Don't be crass.
Yeah, never.
We cut from this enjoyable adult innuendo to young Jason at the grocery store. He sees people buying up the stuff and freaks out, destroying multiple displays until he's finally restrained by grocery store security. And all I could think of here was, isn't it way too early for him to be this convinced that this stuff is bad? Kid is just all in on the idea this is dangerous, which seems like a bit of a leap to me.
See, this is where I think it's a genetic thing. This is where earlier where I was like, he's just got something that suggests to him that and knows that it's wrong, because you're right. This kid's 9. He fucking skips school, goes to the grocery store, and fucking like
trashes
destroys all of the stuff. And you're like, holy shit, where is this coming from? How do you know for sure? Because you saw a tub of this white liquid move. Like, this to me feels like a kid who walked in on his parents having sex and wasn't ready for what was happening. Like, the stuff to him is like sex when you're not ready to know about it. And he's like, this is the kid going and destroying all the pornography or other videos or other things because he's like, I'm not comfortable with this. It's already gone.
See, I was going to say, going back to your original thing, he's like Christopher Walken in The Dead Zone. He like saw this stuff and all of a sudden he can like tell exactly what's going to happen. So he's like, you know.
I've never seen The Dead Zone, but that sounds like an apropos comparison.
Great Walken movie, yeah. You know what? We both might owe Jason an apology after this next scene, as Mo Rutherford goes to interview a member of the Food and Drug Administration who approved the stuff for sale and consumption, and it's Danny Aiello. He tells Mo how the stuff was able to quickly pass through the approval process, and he maybe seems a bit too enthusiastic about it.
Look, all we can do is look for something common to most people. Now, if there is no reason to forbid the use of a product, then we have to okay it. And in this case, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure because I love it. I love it.
Oh, well, you eat the stuff?
All the time. I feed it to Ben. Ben has some.
You feed the dog?
Absolutely. Ben eats it all the time. Right, Ben?
And maybe it's my imagination, but the way this guy and his dog are acting is super fucking weird. Luckily, it will not take us long to figure out why. Dude has a room that is just full of the stuff.
Yeah, he has clearly been brainwashed by the stuff. That's clearly how it got through the FDA as well, right? All the people there who were trying to figure it out just ate it. He makes it clear he's not a chemist, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not a scientist per se.
No, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist. But you know what? This stuff is delicious, and it got through us. The fact that he feeds it to his dog, but also the dog seems to be like in control of him is a weird situation.
He's scared of the dog. Yeah, Mo, you mentioned that. Why are you scared of the dog? Yeah.
Obviously, they're just trying to continue to build and let us know that this stuff is a problem. If you haven't figured that out at this point, though, like you're not watching the movie, right? Like you're struggling as a viewer, but they're still piling it on to let us know that the stuff is the problem of this movie, and that's going to continue to a greater extent as we move forward here.
Oh my God, yes. It turns out it's not just twitchy FDA members and Dobermans that love the stuff. Mo Rutherford pulls up to a Dairy Queen-esque walk-up at 2 in the damn morning to find it absolutely packed with teenagers, families, and professionals who can't wait to fill their throats with creamy white goo. This is objectively strange, but not as strange as what old Mo's going to find when he travels to the place the stuff was tested, some podunk town called Stater.
Yeah, we're heading off to Stater here. The weird part is he shows up and he finds an employee at a gas station, but nobody else in the entire fucking town.
Yeah, it's a goddamn ghost town.
He gets filled up with gas, $20 that is at the time. He states that, and he sees another car kind of rolling up and is intrigued. He runs towards that other car, leaving his car to be filled up as the gas attendant runs away into the woods. When he appears at the car and tries to open it...
Which is also strange.
Yeah, it's all fucking strange at this point. He goes to open the car, and instead of finding someone in it, he has a gentleman fly over the top of the car and karate kick him.
Yeah, man, this is one of the couple things Mo finds here in Stater. First, as you mentioned, very few of the locals still live in this town, having relocated to Midland, Georgia, where coincidentally, the stuff is manufactured.
Yes.
And second... the man attacking him is legendary dessert mascot Chocolate Chip Charlie, played by SNL original Garrett Morris. Turns out he's alive and well and investigating the stuff himself. Also, he's pretty decent at karate.
He's got iron fists and he's ready to fucking throw down with anyone who challenges his skills. It's weird here because Mo finds himself an ally in a really strange place, right? He shows up at this town to try to investigate where the stuff came from and what happened at the town where it got tested on. Clearly, the town has disappeared. There's basically no one left. Like you said, they all ended up in Midland, Georgia, where the stuff is produced. You air quoted that hard in your sort of pronunciation.
Well, it's not really produced.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We know that it's not actually produced. So these two are now going to work together to try to take down big stuff.
Except, what does Chocolate Chip Charlie really do? They bring him in here... and then he kind of goes away for a while and he comes back. He doesn't actually accomplish anything or provide any new information. He's kind of just there and then gone. And it forces me to ask the question, why is he in this movie?
Do you think it was for star power? Like, he was
Garrett Morris in 1985 is your version of star power? Nothing against Garrett Morris. I am a Garrett Morris fan, but he's not as though...
There's not a lot of star power in this movie, though. And...
Hey, Mo Rutherford was in Law & Order for the first couple seasons before he went fucking crazy. Allegedly had mental health issues.
Having a recognizable face there, he is kind of comic relief-ish, too, in the way that he portrays this chocolate chip character. Even the fact that he's named Chocolate Chip Charlie tells you...
It's kind of a funny
he's
name.
He's a comic relief character. You're right. They're only in a short time when they kind of split up and go on other missions. Clearly, they only had him for a day of filming. Like, if you were looking at the production, they only had him for a day. That's all they got paid for. And that's all he performed in this bad boy. But you're right. It is strange to insert him here. there's enough weirdness that I don't think the comic relief is necessary, but they shoehorn him in.
They do. Now, we may have glossed over the most shocking discovery of this trip, that if you eat enough of the stuff, it eventually destroys you from the inside, pouring out of you after first causing your jaw to open wider than any human's mouth should ever have to open. I mean, this is a go-sized opening, to say nothing about the amounts of white goo coming out. We're back to...
I don't know if I can touch that.
No?
The jaw is definitely stretched to more than a pop can size opening is what
That's
I would
for sure.
say. Lots and lots of goo pouring out of it. We get that very viscous marshmallow pour out of the employee of the gas station.
It starts rolling across the floor.
Yeah, it becomes sentient. It reminded me of kind of the water in the abyss, and I was like trying to pull out other like horror examples of an evil like goo.
The Blob?
Yeah, maybe the Blob is a good one. It kind
That stuff
of
in Ghostbusters too.
Yeah,
That
Ghostbusters
river of,
a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Those things were all reminding me. I was interested if this was something at the time where they were doing a lot of like not a real shape
People
kind
were
of evil.
afraid
Yeah.
of like amorphous fucking liquids. I don't know.
That's kind of what I was wondering here, because it's definitely what they're pulling for in the stuff as we see it. Are we afraid of a large amount of white goo rolling towards us in a sticky, sinister like move?
I'd like to say no, but I'm not sure I'm that secure in my masculinity. I might be.
Yeah.
After this close call, Mo Rutherford and Chocolate Chip Charlie head to a local diner where Mo inquires about whether they're currently stocking the stuff. That gets the attention of the locals, and based on their reaction, Mo sends Chocolate Chip Charlie to hook up with an FBI agent in Washington, D.C., which we do not see, by the way, while he pursues other leads. But as Mo heads out of the diner, we see a shocking revelation. That diner does, in fact, have the stuff. In fact, the waitress working there is practically hoarding it. She can't get enough.
Nobody can. Apparently, if the stuff gets its fucking like claws deep in you, you can't get away from it. She absolutely is all about filling herself with that stuff.
I don't feel comfortable. I think we're pushing this too far.
I don't know. Are we? This is what the movie wanted. This is where they were pushing us to. We're just fulfilling
She's
the dream of the
insatiable.
producers. Yeah. She couldn't have enough stuff.
Needs enough of
well,
that stuff.
she will start pouring it out of her orifices once the stuff has had enough of her.
You can only hold so much.
Well, or
Then
the
it starts
stuff can
coming
only take so much from her. I don't know. We'll see.
Getting
I
worse
don't
and
know.
worse. Oh, God. Mo has pretty much figured out that whatever it is, the stuff is clearly addictive. So he decides to confront the head honcho who's distributing it, and this guy's story does not exactly inspire confidence.
But you distribute it, you know what it is, you put it in the stores and the supermarkets.
I know what it is. Don't be ridiculous. I don't know what it is. Does anybody know what it is? Anybody know what it wants? And those who will take a critical mass of it, to them, why, it's everything.
There's even a name for the people who are addicted to it, stuffies. Now, am I crazy, or does that sound like a sex thing?
Is it bringing you close to like those people who dress up as animals?
Furries?
Yeah. This is where you're thinking, right? You're like, maybe
Exactly what I was thinking.
maybe stuffies are people who like to have all of their filled, and that's where you're going with this. Is this like full measure? If white goo comes out of all of them, then more the better is sort of how we go here.
God damn. Speaking of sex things, Mo Rutherford decides to circle back around to the ad exec behind the Stuff successful campaign, and she's having reservations about it too. But as we see in our next scene, the commercials are still in full swing, and Jason's family, like many others, have become very susceptible to them. In fact, when Jason heads downstairs, breaking the grounding his parents gave him, he finds his family just gorging themselves on the stuff. And judging by the giant pile of empties in the kitchen garbage, they've been gorging themselves for a while. His parents try to justify this as dieting, or possibly science.
Jason, I mean, there's something alive in yogurt. It's called benign bacteria.
Yes.
I mean, there's something alive in a loaf of bread. It's yeast. I mean, that's a living organism. We eat plenty of things that are still alive that are good for us.
But after Jason bristles at this, they send his older brother to strong arm him into eating it. You take that stuff, Jason. You open up and take it.
Holy shit. Yeah, his family is fully full of the stuff, and they are completely controlled by it right now. Jason wants to get away from them or escape this. Part of his plan is to pretend to eat the stuff, so he empties out the container in the toilet. Once again, it kind of comes to life as he tries to flush it down. He fills that container with a thing full of Barbasol shaving cream and uses that to eat in front of his family. He's going for it. I guess it's better not to be mind controlled here.
I was going to say, the shaving cream at least won't take over your body, although it should make him very, very sick, which I guess it kind of does in the future.
He does throw it up in not too long order, so you're right. It doesn't.
Good continuity there by the director and screenwriter and editor.
They do a good job here making him sick after he eats that. He does sort of like kind of trick the family, but not for very long.
Not
they
for long
figure
at
it
all.
out quickly.
Yeah.
And they kind of put the chase on him after his mother very erotically licks the stuff off of a lid.
You thought it was erotic. I did not think it was erotic, but yes, she is lapping it up.
Yeah, she's full force into consuming the stuff. He's running away, and we think he's in a lot of trouble because
it's a zombie style chase.
Yeah.
He goes out into the night, and they're after him, lurching after him.
We think he's about to get taken down when who shows up at his house?
Oh, Mo Rutherford, obviously.
He saw the news report and was there to save this kid because he knew the truth too.
Absolutely. He saw Jason's grocery store antics in the local news, and he's going to get him to safety, or at least a private jet that is supposed to take them to safety. But that jet will, in fact, take them right into the lion's den, Midland, Georgia. Gee, I wonder if any rich old white men who are affiliated with the stuff will be there.
I don't know. Is this the place you need to go to figure out where it's happening? It's funny to bring that kid into such a dangerous situation.
I had that thought too. Yeah, they just fucking put this kid right in harm's way immediately.
Questionable moral decisions. I guess they did pull him out of the fire, but they're throwing him back into the fucking flames here by making him go over to where this stuff is made.
Out of the fire and into the flames.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
The expression?
Yeah, it is. I think so.
No, out of the frying pan into the fire is the expression.
That is the expression. Yeah. Well, I'm going with this one. I like it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, as soon as that plane lands, we do meet some rich old white guys in a limo that's exterior is painted the exact same colors as the stuff containers. Not sure how that didn't trigger any alarm bells for old Mo Rutherford. But inexplicably, Mo and that lady decide to leave Jason on the plane. And believe it or not, he is almost immediately attacked by a goo-filled local.
It was the same guy from before.
Somebody, it's like a crewman. I thought
chases
popped
him
up.
down
I don't
and
know
pops
who it
out.
was,
Yeah,
but he's there and he's full of goo.
Kid has to run away from the rolling liquid again, right? All these poor kids getting chased by liquid everywhere.
It's all a metaphor for 80s era homophobia. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
makes sense. Mo and that exec visit the stuff factory where they are denied entry to the room where they make it.
I love we've never learned her name, by the way. She's been in this movie a lot and they don't tell us her name ever.
They don't give us much to her character beside the fact that she produces ads and is willing to blow guys for career advancement.
Yeah, not a lot. Yeah, but she is being heroic in her courage.
She's very heroic. They just haven't written her any dimensions.
No, it's weird, right? They're making her a heroic character, but don't give her the backstory that she really requires. But
that's just literally decades of film history right there. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, there we go.
Women didn't always get strong roles. But she visits that stuff factory with Mo. And meanwhile, Jason, who managed to escape from that local who attacked him by the plane, runs off to a shipyard, or I guess a truck yard. Is that what they call it when you're loading up trucks?
I think so. I had a little bit of a problem with the factory name where all the stuff was made. I thought it was strange that it was called the Testes.
Listen, I don't recall the name of the factory, so I can not deny or confirm what you're saying. Yeah,
good, thanks.
But if that's what it's called, fuck you. That's not what it's called. Stop it. Anyway, Jason, for some reason, decides the safest place for him is... The safest place for him to be is inside one of those big tanker trucks they transport the stuff in. More on that later. But first, Mo and that ad exec lady check into a motel. And I may be wrong, but they do not seem nearly concerned enough that the young boy they brought with them is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, they've kind of just forgotten about him. I think that they are in a motel together. And strangely, I thought their mind would go to banging because they seemed like they were ready for that earlier. But it really transitions to sleep quickly.
Well, because now she knows he's not really going to buy her ad agency. He's a fucking investigator.
Yeah, so it's not worth
She loves the money. She doesn't love him.
Yeah, she's not ready to swap the stuff with that guy.
No, she's not. Yeah. She's not going to take his stuff.
No.
I'll tell you that right now. Well, not at the moment anyway. I guess they have bigger things to worry about. That's why they're like, that kid's probably fine.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems weird to rescue a child and then leave it alone on a plane for 48 hours. I don't know.
You know what even seems weirder is laying down to rest on a pillow and not realizing that instead of downy feathers, it's filled with the stuff.
So you're right. It's kind of weird that they lay on these pillows and don't realize it's full of the stuff. All of a sudden, while they're sleeping, it starts pouring out of the pillow it attaches itself to the face of Mo, and our lady ad character, who we have not learned her name yet, starts to freak out and try to find some solutions.
Well, you and I have not learned her name. They might have mentioned it. We just missed it. But yes, the stuff attaches itself to Mo's face, like alien face hugger style. And her solution is a good one. She fucking burns it off of him, which does get Mo free. But just then a stuffed up local barges in and tries to attack them. Luckily, I don't know, all the stuff from that pillow flows up the wall and traps that local guy, where he too gets lit on fire. This scene I thought was actually pretty well done. Like, for what the effects budget must have been for this movie, they got creative with it.
Yeah, this actually seemed kind of cool. I like that the local got like sort of swarmed in and stuck in the stuff. It actually looked like Marshmallow capturing him on the wall. And the burning of it did look like when you put a marshmallow into a fire. It had that strange like bubbling charcoal feature, but also the way that marshmallow gets kind of like viscous and loose and moves out. It actually looked quite like a burning marshmallow. I thought that was very, very effective in the way they did that. Maybe they use a large amount of marshmallow to make the effect. I'm not sure, but it looked good.
I did some research on this, and I don't believe that's actually they used at all. But it does have the effect, like you said. It's pretty good. Nice job there. One of the bigger effects moments in the movie. I thought they pulled it off well. Now that that's done, Mo and that lady decide to finally go find Jason. So they head towards the mine or quarry or whatever you call this fucking pit where they're pulling this stuff out of is. But to successfully infiltrate it, they're going to need disguises. Luckily, Mo has one. I guess he stole it from that factory earlier. But while they're busy trying to get in, Jason is desperately trying to get out as the factory workers are about to fill that truck he's in with pure, unfiltered stuff. Speaking of which, we get some weird solid masses of it rising up out of the big pool they're mining. I guess the consistency can vary, you know? Sometimes it's silky smooth, other times it's a little bit chewy.
I think it depends how much pineapple's been eaten. What we're learning about
That's
this
an
stuff.
old wives' tale about the stuff. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
So it is weird. They've uncovered a giant pool of this stuff, and they are using giant liquid trucks to suck it up. I mean, there's probably more efficient methods, but this seems to be the one they're going with. And they're moving those trucks of stuff. Jason is trapped in one, and the stuff starts to slowly pour into it as we have Mo and the ad lady trying to figure out how they're going to help him. Mo is going to dress up like one of the truckers and try to infiltrate the truck area. Luckily for Jason, he does start to do this right before there's going to be too much stuff for him to escape from.
Yeah, but you glossed over a big part of this, which is that the green screen effect here while Jason is trapped in the ticket is fucking brutal.
It's really bad. It does not look like he's actually inside a truck during most of this sequence, and it's rough. And it pops up a couple other times in this movie too.
Yeah, we do not get a ton of it though. They kind of held back, which I think is good. Mo kind of realizes Jason's in there and quickly commandeers this truck after first punching out a stuffed factory employee and triggering some large explosions that give him the chance to drive away.
Well, yeah, the explosions provide him with the appropriate sort of distraction, and they fill that pool of moving stuff that you had described earlier. It actually is a pretty decent explosion effect that they do where the cliff kind of like explodes in and covers it.
Oh, you don't normally praise explosions in movies. This is a big moment here.
Well, it's because it isn't a shot that blows up a car.
You showed over those explosions in Stone Cold 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, of course. Those explosions were over the top and extra. But he drives away. There's some people who try to get in his way, but none of them actually do an effective job. And he drives this truck off and heads down the road, kind of pulling Jason along with him inside of it. Now, Jason's still in a bit of danger because that truck does have some stuff in it. Is he going to be able to get him out in time?
Well, of course he is. But Jason's not the only one in trouble here, as back at that rendezvous point where they're supposed to meet up later, a different factory employee is about to kill that female ad exec that Mo's going to eventually nail. Luckily, she's able to fend him off long enough for Mo and Jason to arrive, at which point the dude's head explodes and they are temporarily free and clear. But it does not take long for the local police, who are of course in the pocket of the stuff company, to pull them over. On the bright side, we get a good line here.
Hey, your hose is hanging out back there.
You gonna arrest me for indecent exposure?
That's enjoyable. Come on.
Yeah, you can't tell me that the screenwriters of this were not thinking of fucking jokes the entire time. When they throw this line in here, I'm like, holy shit. I laughed a lot at this one. Maybe the line that I thought was the most funny. But yeah, clearly this cop who's influenced by this stuff is going to try to drag them out of here, going to try to bring them back to company headquarters and prevent them from making this all public.
Yeah, but luckily he, like everyone else in this town, is hooked on the stuff. And they take advantage of that by convincing him to go have a little snack, at which point a swift karate chop drops him. I guess someone's been taking lessons from Chocolate Chip Charlie, huh?
Yeah, just that short time together means Mo has the moves he needs to take out this cop. I mean, it was all really in the distraction provided by the lady and Jason, the kid, who were pretending to eat the stuff. They take out the cop, and then, they say they're going to head to a big town. They have this discussion in the cab where they're like, we can't go to small towns. There's not enough support for us. We need to go to a big town. But instead, where do they show up to? I was kind of confused.
Well, yeah, this is a little bit confusing. Instead of going to that big city like fucking Mo says, they drive to an old castle/fortress. Now, the reason they're there is they recognize that if they're going to bring down the stuff, they're going to need some help. So they visit this place, which is apparently the home base of Paul Sorvino and his anti-drug militia. These guys are so anti-drug, they're mad about the fluoride in the water. So go ahead, Noel, drag them with your liberal agenda.
Okay.
Come on.
So they show up. They show up, and a whole bunch of military guys pop out. They immediately take him to see the colonel. We can tell the colonel's got some problems. He's been indicted for being a bag, but they need his help despite that. He does have his own militia or military. They convince him that this stuff that is being consumed is starting to control the population, and we know he is very anti-communist, very anti-mind control, very freedom-oriented in his political leanings. He also hates black people.
Now, hang on.
We're going to get that very clearly coming up in this movie.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, yes, it is fair, I think, based on what happens later. But now together, they are going to head to Atlanta. We know from other kind of like world experiences that Atlanta is the head of the CDC.
Center for Disease Control. I learned this in the board game Pandemic is how I figured this out.
It's also The Walking Dead. It plays a prominent role if you've ever been a part of that. So they're going to head to Atlanta. There's a big studio there where they can sort of reach or hopefully reach the American public about what's happening here.
Well, that is true, but before that happens, these American heroes are going to help free the general public from the terrifying grip of the stuff, starting with your standard Trojan horse assault. By pretending to return the stolen truck to the factory, Colonel Paul Sorvino and his men are able to gain access and bring this place down from the inside. Now, that's a hollow victory, as all of the factory employees are already seemingly dead, but still a victory, as Paul Sorvino puts it.
No show of resistance.
They may not be armed, sir.
Doesn't matter if they are armed. There is no match for the American boy. We have never lost a war.
What about Nam, sir?
We lost that war at home, Sonny.
We're getting some serious political commentary here, and in a moment, we're also going to be getting some serious flowing rivers of white goo. Hot stuff coming through.
Yeah, after they sort of like invade here, all of the people like meet in a room and basically die as their goo oozes out from them and combines together in a massive flow. Feels kind of like visiting the chocolate factory in the Willy Wonka movies, but it's supposed to be much scarier, but I'm finding it not really so.
Chocolate factory full of or
Well, that's basically where we're at. We are escaping the factory right now. I mean, it's sentient, so it's got its own agenda. It'd like to impregnate all of the women and men of the world with its own mind control. Well, because it has a mind control aspect to it. I think it wants to go inside any human that will let it inside. But you know,
I don't know about the Willy Wonka connection here, but with enough evidence to prove that the stuff and the people behind it are evil, I guess. Now, Mo, the ad lady, and Colonel Paul Sorvino decide to head to the CDC to alert the public and take back America. We're also getting kind of a weird subplot here where the colonel is actively trying to bang the ad lady and she doesn't totally seem uninterested. Still, I kind of feel like we're spinning our wheels here. Like, I've heard the same rah-rah patriotic army music 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here, both with the female ad lady character. Like, they haven't given her enough build-up, and yet they make her seem for any hot hog meat that's going to save the world. That seems problematic to me. We get a hilariously heroic entrance of all of the military people coming to Atlanta.
This music they're playing is like constantly.
It's very, very heroic. It's funny because they all arrive in cabs, but they have their military gear and weapons, and they kind of take over the CDC here.
I did like how Paul Sorvino tells him to give a 10% tip and then fucking meet back at the place. It's nice that he's tipping.
Yeah, at least he's giving the taxi drivers, the salt of the earth America, what they deserve as they're heading off to send this message.
Well, that's the thing. Before they head to the CDC, which they didn't even fucking make it, I don't even know, but they do stop at a local television broadcast station to send a desperately needed warning to an endangered nation. And speaking of desperately needed, Chocolate Chip Charlie returns to provide some levity with his exasperated shenanigans.
Get out of the way! Don't you know who I am? I am Chocolate Chip Charlie. My hands are registered with the Midland, Georgia Police as lethal weapons, and I eat them guns for breakfast.
But he also provides a stern warning of his own about what happens when the stuff takes over a person's body. How does he know this, you ask? Because Chocolate Chip Charlie is full of the stuff. These effects were good, then bad, then good again, then really bad, and then kind of okay, I guess. How does Mo handle all this?
Yeah, this is all very rough, right? Chocolate Chip Charlie shows up. He forces his way into the studio. When he's about to be a part of the broadcast, he sort of corners the ad lady in a room, and then all of a sudden his mouth opens as if he's had his own experience, and then
and now you're okay with it. Yeah.
I'm not okay with it, but we've got a descriptive media, and I'm going with the measurement we're describing. It just starts coming out, and his jaw opens, and it starts becoming a problem for Jason, our small child, and for our ad lady, as they're both being cornered by this stuff. You're right. It goes from being kind of cool as his mouth opens and we have that experience to it being really bad as we see some strange effects. The goo after is okay, and then the final shot of his head pulled apart from the explosion is pretty rough.
Oh my God, yes, but not as rough as the green screen. Just some terrible fucking effects work here. But they do manage to get through it. And after Mo wipes off that ad lady's face, when Charlie exploded, he sprayed stuff all over her.
That's what happened when you explode. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
He and Colonel Sorvino get their message out to the general public, and the people listen. We get multiple shots of citizens burning piles of the stuff and even blowing up those DQ-style restaurants. And this is pretty fun, but not as fun as our next scene.
So the good news is their message at the broadcast station has got to the general public, and everyone's rising up against the stuff. We are stopping this weird sentient goo semen-like being from taking over the American public. What has not been completely resolved, though, is we still have a rich elite who want to profit from this stuff. And so where do we move from there?
Well, Mo returns to that rich guy who is distributing the stuff, only to find that he has teamed up with that other rich guy from Big Ice Cream to produce a new dessert called The Taste. I'll let them describe it.
Only 12% of stuff in it, just enough to make the public crave for more.
And the balance is natural dairy products.
So it's corruption, which shouldn't surprise us and definitely doesn't surprise Mo, who pulls a gun on them before bringing Jason in with a couple of crates of the stuff, which he makes these rich guys eat at gunpoint. And I don't know about you, but I fucking love the dark tone of this ending.
Are you eating it? Or is it eating you?
That's great shit, man.
I do like that they are taking it to these fucking wealthy overlords here, the people who were willing to profit off of mind controlling the general public. I like that they force them to eat it all just as they would. And it's a little dark here that he's used Jason, a small child, to fulfill his prophecy. But everything that Jason character knew was taken away by this stuff.
Yeah, so man, his fucking family died from it. He's got all the reason in the world to want to see these dudes dead.
Yeah, so they've won now. It's over, right?
Seemingly, yeah. But things are even darker than let on, though. As in our final scene before the credits, we see a couple of shady types conducting a transaction in a dark alley. A desperate-looking man hands over some money in exchange for a box, and when he opens it, we see the stuff. Apparently, this is going to be a heavily sought-after black market item, because as history has taught us, if there's a demand,
we will find some supply.
They're going to fill it with stuff.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. So we get a strange frost frame here.
Not quite a freeze frame?
Yeah, I'm going to call it a frost
they
frame.
They freeze for the briefest of moments. I'm not going to hit the fucking DJ air horn.
It's
not a full freeze frame.
It doesn't deserve it, but it's a bit of a frost frame here, and then we're out into credits. I'm disappointed both by the opening and exit credits. It's like they just took like the most common Arial font and just stuck it over and
Just white font on the what is there,
and just kept it going. So they're a little bit disappointing in that because we have a lot of creativity in the concept of this movie. Not so much in the stylizing of the credits, but I guess that's all right.
Well, I'm curious to see how much you thought the creativity outweighed the
shittiness.
Was there the
amount of semen innuendo? Is that what you're suggesting?
There's a lot of that, and I want to know how you feel about it. So why don't we transition to our ratings right now since this thing's over? The way we always do this, we rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 2 times. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable, and the goal is to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales, or what we call the Crit 20. And personally, I found this to be a pretty solid commentary on big business and American consumerism. And also,
you love that this was a giant reference for semen everywhere and in all
it's a very gooey, white, flowing thing. We are very juvenile, as evidenced by our 2-star fucking reviews. But that's the first thing place my mind went to. Do you blame me?
I don't blame you on this. I'm curious whether they decided to use a white, viscous, sticky liquid as the antagonist in this movie because they thought that was such a part of corporate culture. Is corporate culture just a bunch of dudes trying to basically on whatever they want? Is that what they're suggesting?
I mean, maybe there's definitely some not so thinly veiled stuff in here about traditional masculinity. I'm so anxious to hear your rating because it must have just been a fucking feeding frenzy for you with all these various liberal leanings. But I'm still going first here, I think. So things that I thought were bad in this movie, Mo Rutherford, not one of them. That guy had charisma, kind of an easygoing charm. I'm serious. He did a good job.
I love that you started your bad rating by praising Mo Williams. I think that's
Mo Rutherford.
Mo Rutherford, or Dave Rutherford is his real his mother
He's a good character. We're talking about what was bad and what wasn't. This wasn't bad. Jason, I thought, though, kind of sucked. But for the most part, overall, I thought the acting was good. Some of the special effects with the stuff were pretty solid. But on the other hand, that green screen, really just terrible quality. Kind of a product of the era, though, I think. They didn't have the technology that we do today, obviously. I thought overall this had a believable premise, minus the guy who discovered it just ramming it into his fucking mouth. And I thought they did a good job of keeping this thing moving. There was enough suspense that I was engaged, and the various allusions and commercial parodies added to it as well. In fact, kind of overall, I feel like this movie did a good job of catering to a couple of different audiences. We mentioned that it's PG, and there is some shit happening here that kids won't get. But at the same time, there's enough action that they would be pulled into it without the kind of gore that would push this into a PG-13 or an R rating. So when I consider this in totality, it might be kind of a style over substance thing. It's bad from an execution standpoint, effect, story, pacing, but it's got style. And if you're going to try to skewer the advertising industry / American consumerism, I feel like you've got to have that. So I'm only giving this an 8 bad. How about you?
All right. That's a fair kind of discussion of his bad rating here. I had a lot of problems with the green screen use. So
like I said, some of the effects were pretty bad.
That was awful. Yeah. I thought that some of the acting was poor. I didn't dislike the Mo character. The main character, the antagonist, was actually pretty good, but the people around him I wasn't super convinced by. I thought the tone was kind of strange. I had trouble placing what kind of movie this was.
In the genre, you mean?
Yeah, genre, but then also tone. I thought the racism from the Colonel was a bit over the top at the end. I didn't like where that came in.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
The ad lady, they didn't give a lot to, even though she was an important character. I felt like I should have known her name and they should have built her up. So I was struggling a bit with that. I also felt like there needed to be more of a payoff. It's funny, you seem like you really liked the way that this ended, and
when he fucking force feeds, the rich guys are toast, man. They ate a bunch of that stuff. They're done.
I think that's a fair point, but I don't know. I felt like there should have been more of a payoff to this movie that I didn't find. So I had this overall as a 7 bad.
That's not even as bad as mine.
Yeah, I know. Not even nearly, not as bad as yours, but those were the kind of where I was going to. I thought that the filmmaking itself, the settings they had, I felt like the goo and the effects around the goo were all reasonable.
Yeah.
I thought the concept was really cool.
Yep.
Like, I really like the idea of showing like an anti-consumerism through this stuff. I just didn't know who it was made for.
Right.
Like, I had trouble understanding who the audience of this movie was. I don't know if I like it being PG.
Gotcha.
Right? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like trying to make this for everyone made it less effective for both audiences. I would almost rather it played more childish or more adult in either direction, and that was a bit of a weird thing for me. I like the idea of corporations selling something that would rot our brains, and I felt like that theme was still relevant today. There's a very easy way to compare the stuff to social media.
Ooh.
But instead of it being something you consume with your mouth, you consume it with your eyes and your brain. And
God damn. We've come a long way from the many, many references we both made for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, I guess so. But while watching, I couldn't help like pull myself apart from that, where I felt like there is a similar kind of experience where people are being changed and brainwashed and removing themselves from like actively thinking because of social media. And then I thought that this was connected to that. And in a sense, the idea of this is super appealing to me. The idea of people making purchasing decisions that like take away their freedom or ability to think is quite a cool idea.
Yeah.
And
So what is your enjoyable rating? I feel like you've been fucking... The
Well,
last
yeah,
like
it's
3 minutes
interesting.
you've been talking have just been enjoyable
I know,
stuff.
it's
So where
weird.
are we at here?
And I've had a
What's
lot of
the number?
I've had a lot of jokes about the fucking like stuff being and that's clearly connected there.
Yeah.
So many of the shots of people being consumed by it or it leaving them was entertaining. But again, I had a lot of trouble with where it fit as a like what's the audience and how it works. I left it as a 7.2. It was something where
enjoyable.
I was
Okay,
like
interesting.
7 enjoyable. It was
Yeah.
something where it definitely had the potential for me to be higher.
Yeah.
And it could have been higher if they had have just picked a lane. But because they kind of like tried to ride that gentle middle, it kept me stuck there. So I had this as a 7 and a 7, which is kind of a lame rating. I don't like.
Yeah, I'm surprised, man. We watched this together, and you seemed like pretty into it. I'm kind of surprised, at least that your enjoyment rating is so low. I thought that would have been higher.
I feel like there should have been a message or payoff that didn't connect or resonate with me at the end. And I see where you've kind of pulled one out, and maybe I should have seen that, but I don't know. It didn't do enough for me.
That's okay. For me, I love the 80s vibes. Loved the wide range of special effects quality. Again, the good ones, I was like, that's pretty cool. The bad ones, I fucking laughed at. So there's, joy on both ends of that spectrum. And I really liked the guy who played Mo Rutherford. I did not care for Jason, as I mentioned. I don't know what the fuck was up with Chocolate Chip Charlie. That character was a weird inclusion. But overall, the performances I thought were pretty decent. I really liked the commercial parodies, and I loved the ending where he makes those rich guys eat all that stuff. We talked about this back when we did Halloween 3. Dark endings in horror movies are the tits, man. They should not end happily, in my opinion. I have seen this twice now, and I will definitely watch it again. I've actually got this as a 9 enjoyable.
Ooh, damn. Maybe I wanted it to be more than it was. I do agree that a horror movie should end with a bit of an uncomfortable ending, but I didn't feel this hit enough horror notes for me to consider it that way.
That's fair. It does kind of suddenly like just end, and that I was okay with, but I can see how that might bother you. Yeah,
that's a high rating on our scale here.
Not bad, man. Like I enjoyed this. Like I said, I would definitely watch it again. Would you watch this again or no?
I think I would. It'd be interesting watching it with a like different perspective now, knowing how it ends and what happens, but I don't think it would change the way I feel about it. It might even be funnier the next time. I might be able to lean more into the erotic origins of
it's not that erotic. I don't think anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
how about the beer though? We've drank this Marshmallow Hydra beer. What did you feel? Was there too much strawberry? What was it going down for you here?
Well, it wasn't very erotic either, if that's what you're asking. But no, it's no. I thought it was good. Honestly, like I'm a big slushy sour fan. This did have some strawberry taste that I didn't care for, but I think combined with the raspberry, marshmallow, and banana, it ended up almost tasting more like sort of almost like a cherry flavor for me.
It tasted like
a children's
candy
yes,
to me.
Well, it had a candy vibe for sure. Very sweet. Got some fruit flavor, although again, perhaps not the flavor I was looking for. But overall, I had a good time drinking this. 7% alcohol, which you could not have convinced me if I hadn't looked at the label, because again, the sweetness really covers a lot of that up. I did not know how much alcohol was in here. I, again, as a big slushy fan, would love to try some more of the 450 North Brewing offerings, since, as you mentioned, so many of them are slushies. I checked them out for sure. Mortalis 2. Not sure I would buy the Hydra Slush Mellow again, but I have no regrets about drinking it. How did you feel?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. This is the third time I've had it.
Oh my.
Yeah, I've had 3 cans of it. The first time I had it, I was surprised by how sweet it was. I don't know if that's a fair statement, knowing that it is a marshmallow sour, but it definitely took...
Yeah, maybe we should have expected that.
And maybe I should have expected, but it took me back. It gave me an artificial or candy flavor when I was expecting more of a fruit flavor. The second time I had it, I enjoyed it more, knowing what I was expecting, and then doing it again, I feel like I'm in a similar position. I knew what was coming. I knew what to expect. It hit the notes that I was hoping it would, and I did enjoy it. I would love to try something of theirs that is just fruit rather than the marshmallow forward flavor, but I think...
The stuff has scared you off of anything white and viscous.
Well, exactly. What I'm saying is I'm worried about mind control, so drinking this reminded me a little bit too much of consuming marshmallow, which means they probably did a really good job of making a marshmallow beer here.
Yeah, I think if you have a sweet tooth and you like these particular flavors, right up your alley. Again, the flavor just comes fucking bursting through. A little too sweet for me, but I love slushy beers. I would love to try some more from Mortalis or 450 North. So check them out. I'm so glad you brought this back from One Stop Brew Shop in Rochester. Good call there, Steve, if you helped Noel pick this out. And 2 weeks from now, we are going to keep the 80s vibes going when we watch Weekend at Bernie's.
Is this a bad movie?
It was a giant hit, but let's not forget that the basic premise is these 2 guys carry a dead guy around for literal days and no one finds out because he's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, that corpse.
So you tell me.
Ooh, shit. Maybe we should talk to a scientist about this one too. See
if that's even possible.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be pretty
maybe we
gross.
should talk to a fucking eye doctor, because I don't know why a lot of people seen this guy can't tell that he's fucking dead.
Oh, I have definitely seen Weekend at Bernie's, but like that doesn't mean that I remember shit about it. So
yeah, man. Comedy though, we don't usually go down the comedy road, but I feel like it's warranted here.
That sounds exciting. Yeah, we probably don't do enough comedies, but maybe it's harder to make a movie that like flops that bad as a comedy, or maybe
that's not true. There are so many shitty
but
comedies.
Maybe the problem is shitty comedies are not fun, right?
Well,
like if we have to go down them, then they're not as fun.
All I know is Weekend at Bernie's is set in the 80s, and it features 2 bitchin' dudes on the prowl out there for ladies just dragging a corpse around when they do it. So that sounds like fun to me. And we'll hopefully have a fun time talking about it in 2 weeks. Before then, if you haven't already, please follow us on social media at the BMB Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
Send us emails, thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. We always love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us today for The Stuff. We hope you'll join us in 2 weeks for Weekend at Bernie's. Until then, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Keep on filling your holes with the stuff.
Are you eating it? Or is it eating you?